You guys, I am already so sick of the cold. I'm sipping my hot tea. I am wearing lots and lots of layers. It's 70 degrees in this house, and it might as well be 50. I'm freezing. Yeah. Is this what we're doing? Hey wild things, welcome back. It's Cypris, and welcome to those of you tuning in for the first time. Jasper says hello as well. He's in a weird mood today. As I'm filming this, we're getting really close to Samhain, so maybe it has something to do with that. The veil getting thinner and thinner and thinner. Is there a lot of activity in the house? I know I've been seeing a lot of flitty things. Things flying around in the house. Thinking there were birds in the house. Sometimes stuff just kind of flies through. Hi, honey. Yeah, I love you. Yes, I do. My love. Oh, can you hear him purring? Yeah, little man. So, we haven't had tea together in a little while, and I think it's time. So if you want to grab a cup of tea, come sit down, and we'll just have a little chat together. Yeah. You gonna come sit down, or are you gonna be up and down and all around? I love you. Yes. Okay. Today I've got ginger green tea is what I'm sipping. That's not my usual. Usually I've got some kind of black tea, but I've had black tea all day. I'm gonna ping off the ceiling if I get much more caffeine. So sometimes we switch to herbal as the day goes on because things get vibraty, and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't drink black tea all day long over and over and over again. With it being cold, I'm looking for ways to put hot things into my body, and I just keep heating up more tea, so it's gonna be a long cold winter. So I thought it'd be really great as the fall descends upon us to talk about Thanksgiving and the winter holidays in general. Those of you who have been watching my channel for a little while know how I feel about the winter holidays. They're not my favorites. And I think that these holidays are problematic for lots of people, for lots of reasons that I think probably overlap a lot. But between Thanksgiving and Christmas, Thanksgiving is probably the worst because Christmas is horrible in its own kind of way, but there's benefits to Christmas, and Thanksgiving, it's just kind of, why are we doing this? So let's break this down a little bit. Like, why don't you like the holidays? What's wrong with you? Are you a Grinch? No, I'm not a Grinch. I am a mature, single individual in a world that says that if it's not a family focus, then it's not quite morally complete, right? I see this in TV all the time, in movies and stories. The movie has to end with a baby on the way. You know, either they find out they're pregnant or there's a new baby, and that's how the movie ends, like 90% of the time. And any advertising or movies about holidays, it's all about the kids or family or that kind of stuff. And there really isn't a way in our culture for people who aren't very Norman Rockwell-esque to engage in a lot of the cultural traditions and to really identify with these holidays. And it's bothered me for a very long time because I've been outside of that inner circle of privilege for a very long time. Which isn't to say I don't have my privileges, but being part of the picture perfect family image has really never been part of my thing. When I was a kid, I mean, there were two parents and children, sometimes pets, but the interior reality and the exterior reality were so different that it was a whole different ball of wax. And as I grew up, I had a hard time with holidays because you come back home and you're not a kid anymore, so you don't get to do the kid stuff, but you don't really get to be an adult either. Right? Not until you have kids. And I see this again and again and again. It doesn't matter how old I get. It's like I never got to be an adult, according to everybody else, because that's the marker of being an adult. And that's really problematic. Not the least of which reasons we have too many people on the planet. So like this moral imperative to breed until our bodies can't take it anymore is kind of outdated for that alone. But anyway, I'm getting off on another tangent. You see him? He is just as happy as he could be right now for a second. And as soon as I put him on the camera, he's like, nope, I'm gonna go. Showing. I don't want that. Because you're sweet. Little cat man. Yeah, he doesn't want to be on camera today. He keeps moving off if I try to get him on camera. It's alright, we'll let him hover. So I guess what I'm saying is, for me, one of the really big reasons that these winter holidays suck is because they are family only friendly. And I mean, it'd be like trying to go to Disney World, right, as an individual person. Not that I probably would, but everybody would look at me like, where's your people? And this situation, I feel like, is sometimes really exacerbated. I have been with romantic partners before who have actually tried to make Christmas only about the kids and nothing for the adults other than sort of worshiping the children going through rituals. And it was really weird to me. I mean, no stockings, no presents for the adults. In fact, any kind of stuff that he wanted to do with me for Christmas had to be done the day before. It was really like kind of creepy to me that Christmas could only be celebrated by the children. And he said as much, like, this wasn't just my take on it because I'm jaded, you know, it wanted it to be all about kids. And then there's the issue with the kids' table. Some of you probably have family gatherings where there's a separate table for the kids and the adults get to go to the adult table. And some families I know mix it up and it's not a thing, but in my family, it was always a big thing. Because the family was really big and you could barely fit all the adults around the main table. So that's how they did it. So it really never seemed like a problem to me as a kid until the oldest cousin got old enough that he was invited to join the adult table. And I was like, all right, that's the age. I think it was 18 or 19. I can't remember. And I was very excited about that. A few years later, when I got to be 18, I expected that I would be sitting at the adult table. Nope. Because here's the thing, in our culture, females don't get to be grown-ups until they pop out kids. So the boys could graduate to adults table, but when I asked about it, I was still a kid. And we all wonder why I'm so messed up. Anyway, this is just family politics. It's not any individual being mean. It's just the cultural expectations I was raised in. And somehow I never got the memo on any of these things, and I was always surprised every time it happened. But I would say Christmas is actually worse than Thanksgiving on that family requirement, because there are so many things about Christmas that are involved, and so many of them revolve around being a traditional family unit. I'm kind of a little bit in shock that this is still such an issue, because most people in the United States now are not part of that traditional family unit. And even if they are, it's often only partially. I mean, that's a really very specific way of organizing people. 2 parents with 2.5 children. That's very specific. And if you've got parents who have grown since they first got married and have had to separate and go their own ways, because that's what happens when people get older and realize, what the heck was I thinking when I was in my 20s? But we make out divorce like it's this horrible, horrible thing. No, staying in that kind of is, wow, I'm on a rant today. So if people are divorced or widowed and they're kids from multiple parents and single parent households and young people who don't happen to have stable parents, maybe they're in the system. In my case, I was an adult without extended family other than the nuclear family that I was raised in, and it gets weird when you go home and everybody comes with their significant other and you're out on that. Nope, it's not worth putting up with a significant other to me all year long just to have them there for those holidays. Somebody should start a service where you rent significant others. I wonder if that would work. Just rent somebody. You'd have to pay people too much. That's why it's only significant others that you take to holidays, right? You can't afford to pay somebody enough to put up with all the family stuff that happens when you travel for the holidays. That's true right there. Okay, so Thanksgiving. Why is Thanksgiving so problematic? For me, and probably for a lot of other people. I'm sure some of you share these with me. One is that family thing. Really problematic. I would like to be able to enjoy holidays without having it shoved in my face that I'm not participating in the world in the way everybody thinks I'm supposed to be, right? I'm doing me. I'm enjoying doing me. I have to do me or it's not going to work, right? It was Joan Didion or Sylvia Plath who stuck her head in the oven. I think it was Sylvia Plath. And Joan Didion smoked herself in her garage. That would be me if I had kids, right? My head would be in the gas oven or something. It's just not how I'm wired to function. I say that. I don't actually know. It's never even been an option for me to have a family. I've never been with a stable partner whom I trusted enough to put myself in that vulnerable of a space. So I have no idea if that's even something I would or could do. But on holidays, I am reminded that I failed to do the things most important as far as the culture's concerned to make myself valid. So the entire winter holiday season, I am in my face by family interactions, by social interactions, by what's portrayed on television, and, well, I guess television's an outdated term, right? On the media. I don't get an entry ticket into living my life the way I'm supposed to. So I'm good with the choices that I've made and the choices, well, I'm coming to terms with the choices I haven't been able to make in my life. But I don't like to have them shoved in my face, and I don't think anybody does. I think it's really obnoxious, and I am really surprised that in our society we don't have other scripts for how to do these holidays, because most people are in weird situations. And by weird, I mean normal, because 2 parents and 2.5 kids is literally not possible. It's literally not possible. Talk about unattainable averages. So, let's see. What else? What else is really problematic about Thanksgiving? Here's the other thing. Thanksgiving is just fundamentally problematic. It's very normal to have a fall harvest celebration. That is something that goes back as far as human beings gathering the bounty of the earth in the season it becomes ripe. That is probably goes back as far as we go back. Celebrating plenty in the fall. As long as humans have lived in deciduous climates, let's put it that way, there have been some kind of gathering and festivals. I'm sure of it. It just makes sense. Yet, our particular holiday for this has been really tweaked. It's no longer a harvest festival. They've got it later than a lot of the traditional harvest festivals, I think. Yeah, they run like end of summer into early fall, and we've got it like really late fall, and it's supposed to mark this moment in our political history. That's not a harvest festival, that's propaganda. And over the years, the more educated I've become and the more aware that I've become, this whole propaganda machine of Thanksgiving, it doesn't set well with me. It makes me feel icky, and I really don't know what to do with that. I like upholding traditions. I like getting together with family. I like having a feast in the autumn, but the political specter of this particular holiday's origins really doesn't set well with me. It really kind of offends me that everybody's okay with furthering this idea without making a stand in some way or another, like refusing to call it that or celebrating it on a different day, a more traditional. I don't know what the solution is, but it really bothers me that it doesn't bother people that this really problematic political day has been merged with this very old and very important cultural festival that everyone around the world has something like this, and yet ours is laced with all this problematic history and spin doctoring. So I never really know what to do with that, because I can't very well protest and not go hang out with family, and when I do go, I feel like I should say something and I should talk about it, and we should have conversations. But of course, this is the kind of stuff that really bothers some people sometimes, and when you're all mushed together and everybody's got different opinions on things, it can be really volatile to talk these things out. So I end up biting my tongue and getting an acid stomach and just being sick the whole holiday season, because I feel like I am complicit with so many horrific things. And I'm not complicit. It's just, pick your battles, and I guess my guts feel like I'm picking the wrong ones. But the fact that I still have family speaking to me tells me I'm picking the right ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, how do you decide where to take your stands and where to just eat it? The other thing that's really something I've come to have a lot of angst over and to be really stressed out about for Thanksgiving is the food. Like, I like the idea of the harvest festival and having the feast. I don't mind gorging myself every so often. That's not a problem for me. Yes, I should watch what I eat better and be healthier, but sometimes it's seasonally appropriate to just gorge for a minute. It just, However, as I have developed as a human being and gotten out in the world and tried new things and learned about health and learned about diet and learned about food production, I have veered from my upbringing quite a bit, and I don't eat the same things I was raised to eat. I don't even like the things I was raised to eat most of the time. I try to make really healthy choices. I try to eat mostly organic. I try to, and fail, but try to eat less sugar and less flour, especially the refined stuff, the high processed stuff, and I try to eat a lot more vegetables, and I try, all the things, right? I don't need to go through a list of all of them, but I've made a lot of changes to my diet, and I have a lot of dietary goals that are not in line with the ones that I was raised with. And you get family together after so many years, and the family unit still has these traditional foods that are really bad. Really, really bad. Like Cool Whip, for instance. I will hang a Cool Whip out to dry as the prime example of this. Cool Whip is disgusting. It just is. Even if you like it, it is disgusting. It is whipped oil. It is not any relation to whipped cream, not even on this, well, it's the same planet, but that's as close as it gets. It is not healthy. It is nasty stuff. They do something to make it taste delicious, but it is disgusting. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that. Cool Whip is not something anybody should be putting into their body. And yet, that is what we were raised on. It's the traditional garnish of all desserts and some of the regular food. And there's a lot of fondness in my family, for this particular food item, I don't think it counts as food. Really don't think it counts as food item. I think it's a food imitation product. It's like technically edible by FDA standards, but we all know how amazing FDA standards are. So years and years ago, when I was young and naive, tried to introduce actual whipped cream into the family gathering food situation, and that went over like an absolute ton of bricks. I had a giant tub of whipped cream in the fridge that I worked on for a while, but eventually had to throw away because nobody would eat it, and it broke my soul. And I learned that sometimes people just don't want to try new things or change up what they're doing or change their traditions. And I mean, I respect that, but it's one more way in which I feel completely alien in a place that I'm supposed to feel utterly connected. And I mean, that's not really that big of a deal, right? Cool Whip versus whipped cream. I just go without because I can't even force myself to eat that nastiness. Are you falling asleep? And there's other things like cooking methods and like there's lots of things. I guess what I'm saying is over time you develop as a person and you come up with new things, and every time I go back it's like this mirror showing me that I don't belong. I've never belonged, and I certainly do not belong now, nor will I ever, because that gap, that chasm between me and who I'm expected to be is just wider than the Grand Canyon at this point. And I don't want to complain about my family because they take me as I am. There's no complaints. There are very few problems along that line, but it doesn't change the fact that I am increasingly alien. Always was to start with. I was always just different, but becoming fully myself means letting go of the little ways here and there that I did at least look like I belonged. And I think this is something that a lot of us deal with. I mean, you go home for the holidays and you're right back in there, and you fall in with your siblings as though you're still 12 years old, even though you've grown. It's like that family dynamic goes right back to where it was when you left off. Yeah, going back home to a place you've defined yourself as being something other than, it's just super alienating, and it makes me feel exhausted because I have to perform as the person they know rather than just relax and be me. Because at the end of the day, that would be transgressive to just be me with my family. It would make them uncomfortable, and in some cases it would make them very angry, and it's not worth that, right? So with Thanksgiving, although I really value the idea of getting back together with family and having the harvest festival, it's still really stressful, and it's hard to get into the holiday aspect of it because the historical legacy is so problematic. So what do you think? Is this just a depressing way to start off the holiday season? You're welcome. But, you know, what problems do you have with the holidays? What are the things that really make you just want to, like, not deal with them? Just stay home alone and not participate. I think I'm actually going to do that this Christmas. I think I'm going to be able to get out of Christmas this year because the family dynamic has been altered and we don't have a settled system at this point. So, although I didn't manage to get out of Thanksgiving, and I will have to participate in that, I think I got out of Christmas. So all I'm going to have to do is mail presents out, which that's great. I love that part of Christmas. The giving people gifts and telling them, hey, you matter to me. I love that part. So I'll probably have Christmas with you guys a little bit and just kind of share what I'm doing. So what beef do you have with the holidays, specifically Thanksgiving? We can have another jam session for Christmas because that's a big one too. Is it family? Is it food stuff? Is it because it wrecks the diet that you're on every year? Try to get back in shape every January, and you get into a groove by the end of summer, and then the holidays come around and it's like, well, guess I'm gonna wait until January, mid-January again to get back on the horse. Wagon? It's a horse. It's a wagon, isn't it? At any rate, I can't do this well until I can afford to just get an Airbnb. right? Is that what some of you do? Do you just get a hotel room or an Airbnb and just come over for the big things and call it good? Or are you in the trenches visiting family and having to deal with all that big... Are you lucky and you live close and you can just jaunt across town? How do you do that? What solutions do you have for surviving holidays, specifically with extended family, or surviving the holiday without having the family to do the holiday with, right? Loneliness skyrockets in the winter, partly because it's dark and cold, but also because winter is when we have all the holidays that remind us, hey, you're alone. Hey, nobody will ever love you. Hey, why don't you have kids? What's wrong with you? You're selfish. Holidays are really fantastic for just shoving all of that in your face. Just, hey, you suck, you suck. And that's not fair. I'm sorry, did I wake you up? Yeah. And that's just, it's not good. We need to find ways to get through this together in a more productive, healthier, sane, happier, if that's possible, way, and enjoy the holidays. I'm on a quest to find ways to celebrate the holidays that don't make me feel so alienated and so, not quite depressed, but just like, F it. F the world. Right? I don't want to feel that way all the time. So as I come up with solutions for alternative ways to make the holidays work, I'm going to share them with you because holidays are just important. They've always been really important to me conceptually. I just love holidays. I used to, as a kid, dress up for every single holiday, including ones that don't require costumes. And I would plan for months ahead of time all the holidays. But as I grew up and discovered that I don't get to participate in holidays as an adult fully because my life doesn't look like other people's lives, I ended up hating holidays, loathing them. And I'm back on that swing toward holidays, but I have to reconstruct them for myself in order to find that joy again and that connection with observing the wheel of the year and the seasonal shifts and changes. So we're all in this together. I'd love to know what your take is on Thanksgiving, what you like about it, what you don't, especially how do you hack it? How do you make it work for you? That's what I'd like to know. Let's have a discussion in the comments below and help each other out a little bit and share. And if you haven't already and you'd like to keep close to the wild, go ahead and hit that subscribe. And if you want to be notified whenever I upload a video, hit that little bell, that little dingy thing, hit the notification bell and you'll be notified. And if you still can't get enough of me, you can always cyber stalk me on Facebook and Instagram. I try to keep a presence on those sites as well. As we head into this late autumn, early winter, hold on, keep it together, and hold on to the things that give you meaning, because otherwise it's about to get real depressing real fast. I don't know why I find that funny. I do. I find that hilarious. Maybe I've finally cracked. Anyway, let's see what we can do to have good holidays this year. Let's start with Thanksgiving. Let's get a discussion going. Let's, support each other in this traumatic time, and let's go forth and keep those holidays wild. I'll see you next time.